Good evening and welcome to another Big Gunners Talks. And you know what we do? We always find somebody that's working out there in men's or women's football that I feel like are probably a good role model for people or younger people to look up to. And today we've got another special guest. Introduce yourself.
Hi, so thanks so much for having me on. So I'm Georgia and I'm a women's sport journalist. I co-founded Her Football
Yep.
Hub, which is a women's football platform, and I'm currently working for Give Me Sport Women.
Thank you so much. And tell us about the t-shirt you're wearing.
So this is now my new pride and joy. I ordered it way back in January and it's been
Yeah.
custom made and everything. So it's took this long to get here. It's the Stonewall FC Unity shirt. So it uses the colours of the transgender flag. It's also got the rainbow flag trim and then the Kick It Out logo on the sleeve. So I thought, what better place to wear it than here, you know?
No, thank you so much. So let's just get it cracking. Tell us about Her Football Hub. How did that come about?
Well, Her Football Hub is our pride and joy. It started as just kind of an idea back in the day that we batted about between the three of us. So it's me, Drew Diamond, and Taylor Quiaba. Taylor is across seas, so he's based in the US.
Yeah.
Me and Drew are obviously both UK based. So we kind of cover a lot of ground between the three of us. And we were originally part of a men's fan site. That's kind of where we all met. And from there, we thought, the women's team doesn't really get a lot of scope, so why don't we do that here? And we really enjoyed what we were doing. Taylor did a lot of the graphic work and me and Drew did work on the ground, went to games, live stuff like that. But I don't know, I think we felt kind of limited and we thought, why stick to one team? Why not branch out to the entire, and then why not stop at the entire English league? Why not go abroad? But like we said, it's limited to one team kind of thing, the site we were at. So we had to think big and we just took the plunge and we thought, why not start up a brand? And obviously you do get things. It's hard to build things up from the bottom.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work. Anybody who's in this industry and is trying to make it will tell you it is a lot of graft. But we thought, let's just do it. And then it started 2 years ago now. We started it just after the Women's World Cup. And it's just come on leaps and bounds. And we've gone from obviously just covering England to, we do all the way to Kenya now, Italy, Spain, France. And we're really, really proud of how much it's snowballed, but it's definitely still rising. We're not done yet.
So just tell us a bit about some of the places where it's featured, because I've seen it on BT Sport, but I know it's featured in other places. Can you tell us where else it's had a little feature?
Sure. So we've been on City Live because we were at book launch where they only decided to tell us 15 minutes before arriving that Karen Bardsley was just there casually. So me and Drew nearly lost our heads because we were still only just starting out. So that was that for us. We've been in the Liverpool Echo, the Daily Mirror. Where else have we been? It's places like that. I mean, we don't look at stuff, we just kind of take it as a compliment because you've got feet on the ground and keep your head level. So I think way back then we were thinking, this is huge, what does this mean? This huge outlets kind of covered us, but it doesn't really mean anything. You've got to be out for yourself and focus on your own thing. That's what we do.
Because I've seen sorry, mother. I've seen some of the work that you've been doing. And today you received a special parcel, didn't you?
Yes.
To celebrate. What was it? Tell us what you received today.
So it was basically a thank you gift from the FA to mark the 10-year anniversary of the WSL. And it was a little letter to say, thanks for your help and please keep supporting us as we welcome another decade of the sport. There's a little water bottle, a notebook and a pen, which I'll be taking to every media day I go to from now on. So really lovely gesture, really lovely.
And just to get on to the WSL, 10 years. I mean, the first matches I saw were obviously before, because it's when Doncaster Bells and Arsenal were like the top two teams. It's come on so much since then. Um, what there's obviously like still a massive gap between the men's game and the women's game. What do you feel can be done to sort of bridge the gap? Because obviously we've seen with the new deal with Sky Sports and BBC. Um, what more do you feel that they can do?
I mean, they're starting in the right place because obviously it's great for BT and Sky to be covering the game, but not a lot of
Hmm.
people have pay-per-view.
Hmm.
So to have it on BBC on the primetime channels is big because, and I remember it was Maggie Murphy from Lewis who made a very excellent point recently. Um, you can stumble across things when you're just flicking through the channel, whereas now where it's on iPlayer or BBC Red Button, you have to go looking for it. You have to know where you're going. I mean, I still don't really know what the red button is. I'm not going to lie. But when it's on BBC One, you can find it, and then 20
Yeah,
minutes later, you're engrossed. So they're very much going in the right direction. I just think it starts at home. It starts with the club. The club need to be on the same wavelength when it comes to the men's and women's teams. They need to be.
yeah,
I mean, Man City are trailblazers when it comes to this, and this stemmed from a shoot they did where
yeah,
it might have been the new kit, but it was the men's and women's team just together on the pitch shooting the new kit, and it just looks so natural and so comfortable. And
yeah,
what I mean, it's like it doesn't have to be difficult. Just stick them all together and snap them just in their element. They don't have to pose. They don't have to do any sort of mad tricks together. Just at the end of the day, they're just all people playing for the same club, and that's all it is. So just
yeah.
just do it.
I mean, another crazy thing that I sort of noticed because I just typed in, sort of I went on all the big teams like Arsenal, Man United, Man City, and when you get onto the teams page and you sort of you have the men, then you have the women, and then you have the academy. I've
Yeah.
noticed that the women they're all on every single page. They're at the bottom, and I
Mm.
think that's a bit crazy. That no disrespect to the academy teams, but they're kids. Why are kids higher up on the list than the women's teams, which is, for me, that's a bit crazy. And it was every team. I've done it for every team, and literally every team had the women's team even below the under 18s. For me, that just to me shows that they still. And I mean, it's good that they're on the website at least now, because I know a lot of the teams weren't on the websites before. But do you feel that's still disrespectful, or am I just looking too much into it?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? I mean, disrespectful. I mean, when you're in the industry, you kind of. I don't know whether I've just become desensitized to this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, by no means do I celebrate little wins because I do kind of think, well, that's the bare minimum you should be doing. Don't applaud a fish for swimming, kind of thing. But things like that, I do just kind of look past. But you are right when you point it out. I think it's just the academy comes under men, and women
Hmm.
are a separate entity. So they put academy straight with the men. So it's
Mm.
academy, women, and it shouldn't be like that because I mean the women are separate. So the
Hmm.
academy should just be, say, Arsenal, for example, Arsenal
Yeah,
Academy, not Arsenal men's youths. It should just be
yeah.
Arsenal Academy as one thing, just like it is Arsenal women and Arsenal men.
Hmm. Yeah, no, no, I totally agree with you. And obviously this week as well, we've seen um, Birmingham City.
Mm.
Um, do you think every team is like that? Because I
What
know
do you
you've
mean?
pointed in terms of, do you think that most of the professional teams because let's be honest, cost it doesn't cost much to run, or it does cost much to run a football team, but in terms of how much money is pumped into the men's game, if you put a fraction, I don't know, 10% of
Mm.
Aubameyang's of his wages into
Yeah.
the women's team, like that could pay for some of these players to for that, and they wouldn't have to work. Because I looked at quite a few players, and I was speaking to one today, and she's a lawyer, but she's still playing football. And I think in no other, like you don't in League Two. I think League Two players are still getting paid a certain amount of money. Do you feel like they should be minimum getting at least 40 grand so they don't have to work? Like for me, that should be the minimum.
Oh, for sure. I mean, because obviously there's people who, whether they're full-time journalists or media people, or whether they do it
Hmm.
on the side with their day job, some of these people are earning more than the players themselves. I know, like, talks just whispers on on the wind, and that some players
Hmm.
are about as little as 8 grand a year, which is, I mean, that's got to mean you work part-time as well alongside that, because how can anybody live off that? And obviously the championship is trying to go fully professional,
Yeah.
but not everybody can do that right now. And this is what I mean. There's women that, like you said, someone's a lawyer, some people work retail, some people, I know a lot of people are carers, NHS workers, things like that. And it baffles me how they manage to juggle it, because if you're training all week long and then you've got games and you're actually fighting for stuff, because if you're in the championship, you want to be in the WSL.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you let that mentality falter whilst actually trying to focus on the job that pays the bills? I don't know how they do it.
And obviously it's probably got even worse, like their help and stuff that they would have been receiving because of COVID and stuff like that. But I just feel like there's so much more everybody could do. Like the FA could help more, the actual teams, because I feel like some of them are just like saying you could just use our name, but we have nothing to do with you. And I feel like that's how quite a few of these teams are run, because like I'm saying, if you took 10% of Aubameyang's wages or whoever's wages, that's literally a player's, like that's 20, 30 grand,
Yep.
which that's a whole year for some of these players. And I think I know I know because I've spoken to a couple of footballers, and they just said they don't want what the men are getting, because obviously there's not that sort of demand, but at the same time they just want enough so that they can just live and not have to worry about doing anything else, which for me is fair, because when you're watching these games now, the quality of the games, I think people are still thinking about the quality from like 20, 30 years ago. And if they just took time to watch some of these games, and you know it always takes like a Champions League, like that's why everybody started watching it recently, because the Champions League. But it shouldn't have to take that for people to sort of get involved. um with yourself, what are you, is there any more that you feel like you can do to help? Like, because obviously you've got your website and you've got things going on. Is there any more like just people like us that we can actually do?
Do you know what? I think, like, in terms of fans are doing everything, because women's football
Hmm.
fans are the most devoted fans I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Merchandise flies out as soon as it's available.
Hmm.
So that's obviously helping bring in income to the club. And I think, do you know what? Like, if there was a solution I could think of, I would do it
Hmm.
straight away. But all, me, you, person next door, person across the pond, anybody can do is just keep doing what we're doing. And it might seem thankless right now because you still have, the unwarranted comments from sexist people, um, people who just don't appreciate the sport, but they don't let you forget it.
Hmm.
Um, it's it can be a slog sometimes, because you think, I'm just trying to do my job, and for what? But it is, like you said, Champions League moments, international game moments. It's things like that where you think, okay, we are on the cusp of something. And then, getting my little thing today, that the 10-year anniversary, in the letter, it basically highlighted how, you mentioned it earlier, when Donny Bells were kind of the go-to team,
Yeah.
show how far football's come. And you do
Hmm.
think, wow, yeah, we have come a long way since then. It might seem we're still a long way off, because we are. And will men and women's football ever be equal? I don't know, but we have come a long, long way.
Yeah.
Because we just have to look at the sponsors and the broadcast deals to show. And I just think we just need to keep at it and just keep showing there's a place for women's sport on the map, always.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. Whether it's ever gonna be 50-50. If we're honest, it's never going to happen. But I don't know personally how you feel, but I don't think that's what a lot of them want. I just think they just want the recognition and they want the sort of pay to and things that go along with it because, loads of footballers get given stuff like just given football boots or whatever, just the same treatment because they're doing the same job at the end of the day. They're putting in the same effort. I wouldn't be able to train 4 or 5 times a week and go and do a job as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're expected to do that is for me, I just don't understand how they think that's fair. And obviously, there are smaller clubs, that are themselves in the men's championship or in League One, so it's probably harder for them to put the money into it. But Premiership teams like that are in the men's Premiership, I don't think they have any excuse not to do more to help. And I think Arsenal have done it a couple of times where say they've had the women play before the men's, which again isn't it helps, but it's not fair because say you're a fan of the actual women's team, you probably wouldn't be able to get a ticket because it would be the one that are going to watch the men's after. So maybe having it after men's game, I don't know, but I think there's just so much more that they can do, but it's whether they want to do it. And I think that's just a sad thing, to be honest, because recently I've been watching it a lot, like the women's game, and some of the women they're so good.
Yeah.
Like they're actually just like I was watching James from Man United
Mm-hmm.
the other day, and I just thought, you. I'm not saying she's not trying, but she don't look like she's trying,
No.
and she's just running around people for fun. Like that's how natural it is for her, and see Care at Chelsea and Niedermeyer at Arsenal, the amount of goals she scores, it's just ridiculous. So in the future, what do you want to see? Because even now, I've got this website that I go on live football games on TV. So usually, what I do is if I see that there's a day, whatever day, like the women's games are playing, I just copy and paste what's on there and put it on there, and then just tweet it. And like you're saying about the BBC Red button, like
Yeah.
today's Ukraine versus Northern Ireland was BBCI red button. Wales versus Canada, BBCI button. So the red button. So, but again, no one knows. Like, how would you know that?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's what we're saying. Just the bare minimum is just to at least say it's on. That's the bare minimum. You
Yeah.
wouldn't know.
I know this is what we get. Like at Her Football Hub, we get a lot of people on us saying, "Where can I watch this?" And it is like, oh well, we actually don't know. And then we look, and it's like, of course, it's the red button, or oh, it's actually not being shown at all. Like, I mean, the fact that Manchester United's first ever women's game at Old Trafford wasn't televised, I thought that was
Yeah.
absolutely criminal. I don't know where the logic was in that at all. I think there's a lot of answering to do over that. I know Casey Stoney's not happy,
Mhm.
but it's these landmark moments that people should be watching.
Yeah, I
And
totally agree.
they
And
deserve to be shown. They deserve to be shown.
even like the France versus England game that's currently on now, I think it's half time. That's on BBC Four, which is a bit better, but again, there's no advertising. You wouldn't know
Yeah.
these things were happening. I think that's where say the FA need to do better. That's where the broadcasters need to do better and just let people know and make up their minds for themselves if they want to watch it or not. But you're not even giving them that opportunity, so it could be bigger. Like because little kids would probably watch it if they knew it was on.
For sure.
Young
Sure.
young girls would want to watch it, but they don't know it's on. Their parents don't know it's on. So how are they going to get into it? So they really need to do better. Um, so let's just talk a bit more about you. You mentioned that you do some writing for Give Me Sport. How did you get into that?
It's been a long slog basically. So I've I haven't long secured my first full-time position, which was last year.
Mhm.
Before then, I was doing freelance or kind of juggling it with part-time day job work. But I just applied for a position I saw on LinkedIn. But previous to that, I had experience with. So I've done a number of things that positions. Do I wish I still had now? Yes, but the nature of kind of sports journalism, you can't really put all your eggs in one basket. I worked for Yahoo
Yeah.
Sports. That was a dream. That was an absolute dream. But the UK side of it got made redundant, all of us.
Mhm.
Um, so that was unfortunate. And then I've worked for BBC Sport, kind of in the back library, doing filming and stuff.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. But again, that was freelance. And this is what I mean. It's hard. It is hard. And I think this is what a lot of people don't see is that they look at their idols and stuff, people who work for, the Athletic, BBC, The Guardian, and just think, I want to do that. But they're never
Mhm.
told just how difficult it is, because I know there are a lot of people who are still trying to get their first full-time secured role. And it took me a long time.
And is that both male and female, or you specifically talking about female?
What, the writing I do? Or
No, in terms of getting the jobs, is it harder? Do you find this harder
do you know
because you
what?
are a woman?
When I was in university, I got told a
Mhm.
statistic that if you're the only woman in a room of, say, maybe there's 5 of you, so there's 4 men and you're the only female,
Mhm.
and they're all equally qualified, you as a woman are more likely to get the job because they want the diversity on their team, which I
Okay.
thought was very interesting, but also I didn't really know how to feel about it. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to get in as the token woman of the office kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? You want to get in because
Yeah.
you do the job. Um, so but this is what I mean. And the fact that people like Laura Woods are very, very prominent now on Sky Sports, and there's a lot of women out there who are becoming your go-to for your sports news, not just football, but all sorts. That is really, really promising for women because it is a male-dominated industry.
Mhm.
It is hard to break through. And yes, people are a lot more, I say tolerant, I use that word loosely, but they're more open to employing women, whereas 10-ish years ago, maybe even more recent, it was just very much, nah, a male's going to know more than a female, which is
Yeah.
very stigmatic and very unhealthy. And this is what I think puts women off trying to work in sport.
Yeah. So obviously we're gonna talk a bit about that. So obviously it's just some of the um I know you've seen it, like the comments that Alex Scott and people like that get. Um what do you think that is? Like do you feel like men are intimidated, or do they do it because they get away with it? Like what do you think the issue is?
Do you know what? I think it can be a mixed bag of things. I think because,
Mhm.
people who say, oh, they're jealous, like, not really. But I do think, I mean, say they're just used to seeing an all male panel and then suddenly a woman elbows their favourite out, they're going to feel a
Mhm.
type of way because their favourite's been axed. But then also, I don't know what it is. They just seem to feel so aggressive towards women kind of being out there.
Very
And
aggressive.
it's Eni Luco and Alex Scott were kind of paved the way for this. It was during the World Cup, the Men's World Cup. And I remember Eni Luca was analysing, I can't remember what team it was, but I think it was Patrice Evra. And he
Mhm.
was he was like, you could see it. He was blown away by Aluko's knowledge. And it was a bit like, this is what she's paid to do. That's the job. Like, you wouldn't show up as a male, like, scientist or a heart surgeon, and then your female counterpart successfully does a heart transplant, and he's like, wow, like, you're paid to know how to
Yeah.
perform surgery, just like you're paid to know about football. She's an ex-footballer, a very, very good one, and she's now a pundit. I just don't see why men are so shocked when women know what they're
You know
talking
what it
about.
is? I think it's because, I mean, in that situation, sometimes even himself, Patrice, I feel like he says things for the sake of saying it because he knows he's gonna get,
Mm.
um, it's entertainment. A lot of footballers have got punditry jobs just because
Yeah.
they are footballers. Let's be honest. A lot of them don't even analyze the game. They just speak with their heart. You know, they've played for whoever, Man United, Liverpool, whoever. So that's how they speak. But when you get, you know, the women on, they have no bias to it. I mean, obviously Alex Scott and some of them, they keep saying we when they're talking about Arsenal, which obviously the same thing Ian Wright does.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of bias there, but
It's just a habit, though, more than
yeah, it's
anything.
just habit. Yeah, it's just it's. But yeah, I just don't get, because like my auntie, she has a season ticket for Arsenal, so it's like, how can you say she can't talk about football or she don't know about football when she goes to more matches than, you know, most of us? And the only reason why people are so brave to talk now, because they're watching every match, they're getting a chance to watch every match. Remember, it's only because we're in COVID why so many people are getting to watch their team play. Um, if there was no COVID-19, people wouldn't see half of their matches. They would only be watching highlights, to be fair, because we're getting every match because we can't go into the stadiums. So there are a couple of incidents that I just want to just get your feedback on. Obviously, Sergio Aguero and Shia Massey. The
Mm.
from the I mean, if I take away my Arsenal hat, it should have been a red card. I mean, with my Arsenal hat, it should have been a red card. Take away my Arsenal hat, it should have been a red card. Um, how did you feel when you saw that? Because I still can't believe it. Even when I watch it now, I don't care if he's a nice guy. Um, how do you feel when you watch it now?
I feel just it's just a bit like, what the hell? I mean, kind of taking myself out of it, and I feel I'm being very generous when I say this. It's like, because I mean they're not animals, they're human beings who can empathize. Just new experience, new territory. Maybe he thought he could sway her a little. I don't know what he thought, but you put your hands on an official, it's,
See, that's my issue. I think if it was a male official, he would have been sent off or
yeah,
at least been booked.
yeah,
But I think it's because obviously she's not male why he never got sent off, and I think because she didn't want any trouble
mm,
or didn't want any sort of kickback, she just let it go. Um, but I think if that situation ever arises again, I think they would have to come out kicking and screaming, because one, shouldn't be a touch on an official, and two, it makes it worse, because when you look at it, it just kind of looks like he's just saying whatever you say, sort of thing. Like, it's just a kind of
yeah.
a,
It's patronizing.
yeah. It was, that's the word I was looking for. It was just so patronizing. Even when I watched it back a couple of days ago, I was just like, I can't actually believe that happened and that it was brushed under the carpet. Um, Another incident. I don't know how old you are. Jose Mourinho. So I don't know. How old you are, so I don't know if you would remember it clearly. But obviously, Jose Mourinho um, with the ex Chelsea doctor. Um, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 26 this year.
Oh yeah, so you might remember the Eva Canero situation in 2015, where he was shouting. He was seen to shout at her in front of obviously
Mm,
the Chelsea crowd because she went on the pitch to help a player that was down,
mm.
and insulted her. How did you feel when you saw that?
Jose stirs up a wide range of emotions in me. So I'm kind of like, if that was a different manager, would I have felt differently? Perhaps, but it's another incident where you think, would you have behaved that way if it was a bloke?
Hmm.
Perhaps. Um, and this is what I mean, and I feel like it's like you said about Sean Massey. She didn't want to cause a fuss, but also, did she not want to act like she was intimidated? Because then they would
Yeah,
focus on that. Soon as you show that it's bothered you, that's it. You're shown to be weak. You get
I
one
think
chance.
that was it. Yeah,
Yeah, you get one chance as a woman in this industry to show that you're worth being here. And the second you show the slightest little bit of weakness, it just gets fed on, and you get viewed as just not good enough.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean. It's just women like that I applaud, because I mean I'm a stress crier. I cry when I'm angry, I cry when I'm stressed, just
Yeah.
all sorts. So I think in that situation I would be like, oh, please don't shout at me. So to just remain cool and just assert, like for Sean Massey's incident, assert her authority, because she does kind of like brush him off in a casual
Yeah.
way.
I think she brushes them off because it was just awkward. It was just an
Mm,
awkward situation. She probably just thought, "What the hell has just happened?" Like it was just such an awkward situation to watch. And like I say, yeah, she kind of just brushed it off. But I think, like I saying, if she would have, she didn't want to seem like it affected her. Because like I said, it's a massive, massive game. But I think they should have backed her more as well. And I think that's one of the things I was getting at. I don't feel like she was backed enough because everybody saw it. They've gone back and watched it how many times, and you're telling me they didn't see anything wrong with that. Um, Back to the Mourinho one. I mean, he was accused of calling her a daughter of a whore. For me, like, what is that? And the
mm,
fact that they tried to pay her off with, I think, like 1.2, 1.3 million as well, obviously means that he said it, because why would you try to pay her off if he wasn't guilty? Um, the last one I had was obviously Leeds United and
Karen
Karen
Carney.
Carney. Yeah,
Mm, yeah, that.
that one. Right, I'll let you talk first.
You know what? My Twitter feed every time Leeds lost a game was blowing up, because there was
Mm.
all the justice for Karen, and like, just it was. I laughed, because it was just like, that's karma. Like they literally lost so many games on the bounce. Can't remember how many it was, but they entered a torrid run of form. I remember, because I was working on another site at the time, and I was actually covering Leeds. So I just remember their poor run of form. And it's just, I mean, Karen is a fantastic pundit. She knows what she's talking about. If she didn't, BT Sport wouldn't want her on the panel.
Mhm.
And it's just armchair fans who have an issue. But it was just, yeah, there was no need for it. And I just feel like, it's like I said, it was just karma, because they made her look, they tried to publicly humiliate her, basically. And did it work? Probably not, because Karen's tough. If you ever watched her play, you know what kind of
Yeah,
person she is. But it's just, why even attempt that? Like, she's doing what a pundit is paid to do, give her
yeah.
opinion and thoughts on a game and on a team, and that's all she did.
I mean, it was very, very odd. Again, obviously, she had to leave social media because of it, or left Twitter, sorry, because of it. Um, but it's a very, very odd thing to do, because anybody that has a Twitter account, or anybody that tweets regularly, knows that if you say something and you've got any sort of followers, you don't have to actually say anything. You can just tweet something indirectly, knowing that you've got followers that are going to go out there and do your dirty work for you.
Yeah,
So when they tweeted that out, they knew that all their little fans, all those little scummy people behind the, sorry to be so rude, but all those little people hiding behind their phones were going to attack her. And for me, whoever was in charge of admin knew exactly what they were doing when they put out that tweet that she was going to get that sort of backlash. And again, and it's one of the reasons why, I mean, they're joint with my team right now, in 10th, on the same points. But I hope they do fade off for the rest of the season. And she is proven right with what she said, because she wasn't even lying. They do fade to the end of the season because of the way they play. Um, so again, yeah, I mean, I got so much backlash when I was just going off the leads. I was tweeting them like all the time, like what you did. I got so much, like, if you see my early YouTube videos, I got all these Leeds fans just going crazy on in the comments, because I just wasn't having it. I knew he knew what he was doing. If I was in charge of their admin and I put it out, I knew what would have happened. So, like, for me, there's no no apologies there for her. Um, yeah, so obviously we've covered most things. So now what I want you to do is a five-a-side team. I want you to choose a five-a-side team, um, a women's five-a-side team, because everybody comes on and does a men's one. So I honestly don't know who you would choose. To be fair, if I was going to choose, I'd be biased and just choose all Arsenal players. But
Mm,
that's not what you're going to do. You're going to be fair. Um,
mhm.
Goalkeeper's a tough one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've got a few candidates for that.
Yeah,
Uh, I think Anne-Katrin Berger is one of the best goalkeepers in the world right now.
I think she's probably one of the best. Probably think she's probably one of the best I've ever seen.
Hmm I mean, even Emma Hayes. I mean, I know she's biased towards her
Yeah,
own player. She has said herself she's for me the best goalkeeper in the world.
yeah.
Um, but I also think Sarah Buhadi is, top draw. And Sari van Veenendaal as well is slept on.
Hmm.
But think I think I'm going to have to go Berger just based off current form and just everything that Chelsea have won since, she's kind of been in the
Yeah.
net.
I mean, to be fair, I would say Berger because being I was a goalkeeper coach, she saved the ball with every part of her feet,
Yeah.
every part of her body.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, she's just technically so good as well. And I think goalkeepers were one of the positions that people always used to say, "Oh, there's no good female goalkeepers," but now there's just so many. There's so many good goalkeepers. Um, I don't know what formation in. I just always just do one goalkeeper, uh, two at the back and two up top, or
Yeah.
like you could do one at the back, two in midfield, one up top. It's totally up to you. So it's a hard one.
I mean, I've done a few interviews for Give Me Sport, and I spoke with
Yeah.
Ellen White and Izzy Christensen, and I think they both, unbeknownst to each other, went for the same formation. And I think they went like a 2-1-1,
Oh
which
yeah.
is
Yeah.
just. Um,
That is the one formation I would not have done, but yeah, now you say it, it's a very good one.
I mean, I'm going to leave defenders last because defenders
Okay.
is where I struggle, I think. Um, because you've got so many different types, and I mean, some of the players I say are the best are your wing backs that drive forward, and
Yeah, I'll
if
be playing two of the like sort of wing backs or fullbacks if I was
Mhm.
picking.
Okay, right, I'll leave that to last. Okay, so you'll like this answer, but she's my favorite player in the world, and I just think she is incredibly underrated, and I'm banging Jordan Nobbs in the midfield. Just
Can't I cannot disagree with that. Tell us a bit more about her for those who don't know about Jordan
so
Nobbs.
Jordan, I mean, I was distraught. So I don't know how Jordan felt, but Jordan missed the World Cup because she did her ACL injury,
Hmm.
and since then she's just come back like she was never off the pitch. She's a midfielder, plays for Arsenal, plays for the Lionesses,
Hmm.
and she's just an all rounder. Like I think if I was to kind of compare her to a men's midfielder, I'd say she's a Steven Gerrard,
Yeah.
100%. She can do everything. She can shoot, she can dribble, she can pass, she's got vision, she can defend. I just think you'd be crazy not to have her in any sort of team.
Yeah, I mean, I believe she's got three goals in 12 games this season. Again, from a midfielder, that's not a goal scorer midfielder. Like I say, she's got everything. Her passing, she likes to get stuck in as well. So yeah, I can't disagree with it with Jordan Nobbs there.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna have Eugenie Le as one
Hmm.
of my attackers from Lyon,
Hmm.
because I mean you've got Ada Hegerberg, who is just fantastic, but I just think Eugenie offers something else. She's just magic with what she does, and I think in a Lyon side, I mean anyone can go under the radar, but I think when Hegerberg's back fit again, it will all be about her, and you'll forget Eugenie is as good as what she is. So I think she's straight in there,
And the thing
definitely.
is, her age, although she's a bit older than some of the other players, but she don't look like she's older. Like she looks like she can carry on for quite a while.
Yeah.
Um, and I hope. I mean, Leon are just so good. I mean, I thought Lyon were like one of the best teams I've ever seen until I watched Barcelona the other day. I was like, this is different level. This is Barcelona were just crazy the other day. But yeah, your team is looking very special at the moment. Very special.
I mean, it's not easy. There's, people popping into my head and I'm trying to push them out. I said, no, I've already made that decision. So, okay, so I've got 3, right. Okay, so I think I'll play Eugenie up front, and I think just behind her, based off current form now, I've got to have Frank Kirby.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about five-a-side actual like football as well, you gotta have people that can do magic in small spaces. Someone that's got amazing quick feet, someone that's quick off the mark, has got that shooting, and she's just everything, isn't she?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, on the HFH podcast recently, we had a discussion as to who would finish with the Golden Boot. Would it be Miedemar or Sam Kerr?
I think this is getting very very it's getting very close, isn't it? Because I saw quite a few people. Yeah, I think because not arguing, but like the debate was quite good, and I think Frank Kirby, what she's doing for Sam is amazing. Like the connection they've got is definitely one of the top connections in the league. So it's going to go down to the wire. I don't know who it's going to be. To be fair.
I know. I mean, Sam Kerr's like, I think she's proved a lot of people wrong because she had that game. I can't remember off the top of my head who it was against, but she missed 3 sitters, and it had. I mean, it was Arsenal Twitter in particular who were like, oh, you can't touch Viv and stuff. And I love the banter between that, but I think now she's really proved a lot of people wrong. But like, Arsenal are going to fight to finish in the top 3. It might not happen. They might not do that, but
I don't think they will. I think United
as the top scorer, she could still do it. She did it last season. Arsenal did it, and she was still the top scorer. And that's just testament to who she is and what she can do. And I won't bring up the Lyon links because I know that'll break your heart if she leaves. But I said Kerr personally, just based off Chelsea's form.
Yeah.
But my co-host Megan said Miedemar, and
it was you, Megan. That's who it was. I was trying to remember who it was, but no, it was you two, weren't it?
Yeah.
Talking about it, yeah.
And I think there's arguments for both. And am I fully sold on Kerr winning it? No, not. Like I can't predict it. But I think going with my heart, I would say Sam. But it could be either of them, honestly.
I mean, just a bit on Sam Kerr, just her all round game. Again, she's just like the Wolfsburg game the other day, the hold up play and the running that she was doing to try just to make sure that Chelsea stayed on top and on the front foot. Like was just her pressing was just crazy, and for someone that gets so many goals to do pressing and stuff like that, just shows how good they are. Because I don't think there's many strikers in any game, whether it's the men or female game or kids game, that there are strikers that have that insane press and still get goals. It's either one, you either press or you get goals. But she's just doing both. So yeah, top player.
Yeah, and I've been trying to buy myself some time because I still can't think of a defender. It's again, it's a toss up because I've got Lucy Bronze because I love a wing back that can get forward, but also recently I've seen debates over, well, can she really defend? But against Barca, she was throwing her body on the line, goal line clearances. She was putting herself in the way in the box, and I just thought, well, fair play. So she's up there. I think Wendy Renard is definitely up there. I spoke with Ellen White, and she said that she's one of the toughest defenders she's come up against. But then I think Abby Dahlkemper as well, because not only is she brilliant for the US, but she's kind of given Man City what they need at the back, and they could really upset Chelsea. There's 2 points in it. All Chelsea need to do is get beaten by them when they play each other, and that's it. City could have it in their hands.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to rule out Lucy, but I'm stuck between. Whoa, do you not agree with that decision?
You know what? I mean, for five-a-side, I would have probably gone with bronze, but
Right.
it's your. I
Mm.
think as well. It's just like you're saying. I think there's always a. I don't know why there was a question on her defending it. That I've never quite understood that one, but you know when you could just see someone that's just 110% in every match.
Hmm.
Like there's not many people that can do that, and I think every time I've seen her play, like whether it's for the Lionesses or thing, she's just like she just looks up for it every game, and we watch football all the time. Can you say that there's many players that look up for every game? I don't
Yeah.
think there's many, to be honest. But
This is
like you're
what I mean.
saying,
You know, a
it's a
lot of
hard one.
people
It's a
pointed
hard
out
one,
as
yeah.
well. So, I just think my logic is I've got three very kind of attacking
Hmm.
forwards, midfielders. So
So
if
you
they're
need that.
all three are like flying forward, and you've only got your and your defenders in on the attack as well, So do you know what? I was gonna go Wendy Renard, but I think I'm gonna change my mind last minute and go Abby Dahlkemper.
You are, yeah.
Mm,
Okay, let's get her in there. You know what? I'm just looking at the top scorers, and Fran Kirby is she's 3 goals off as well. So
yep.
it's not impossible that she's got a shout for it as
Mm,
well. To be fair, um,
yep.
France are winning 2-0. Did you
I
not
mean,
want to know
no, it's fine. It's fine. I
that?
mean, it's because I think I'm hoping to be covering England versus Canada.
Hmm.
And you know what? I was worried about that game because Canada are a really good side. But I don't know why, I felt optimistic against France, but clearly, I should have had a reality check.
So yeah, tell us a bit about the American and Canadian football, or what they would call soccer. Um, but how comes it was more developed? Do you know why it was more developed over there than here?
Do you know what? I'm not too clued up on Canadian and American. I mean, I try to be because
Yeah,
they are the focal front of women's football. I'm not sure. I know that the colleges do wonders for our girls over here. I
yeah,
mean, lot Wubben Moy, sorry, is just one example. And she even said, yes, the step up is big, but people think because you're classed as college level, the gap is huge, but it's actually not. They're very competitive, and it bridges the gap between um, amateur and professional. So I don't know. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if they've got better kind of plans in place, kind of pathways or whatever.
yeah.
It could be that they might have.
In colleges and stuff, like you're saying,
Yeah.
because quite a few, like all the top players over here, say 10 years ago, they all went over there and played.
Yep.
Like every single one of them. So it must be. I think they were professional over there before they were professional over here, which obviously is another. But I don't know why it was professional over there, considering it's supposed to be our national sport.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. So who did we say? Who was going behind your
Dahlkemper.
strike? Oh,
Oh,
Dalkemper,
behind my
sorry.
strikers.
No, sorry, it was your defender, weren't it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Dahlkemper.
There we go,
Although I feel
Dalkemper.
like you're very disapproving of that choice.
No, no, it's just I don't know why. I'm just a massive, 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 massive Bronze fan.
Mm.
She's so good.
I mean, you can't
Uh,
not be really. She's incredible.
yeah, there we go. That is your team
Oh, there
there.
it is. Love that. Fantastic. That's
That is a good five-side team.
that
That is a
is.
good five. Yeah, it is. I would like to see everyone else chooses, and I'll put your teams together and see who will win. But yours,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that is a good five-side team. But Georgia, thank you so much for agreeing to do this, and it was just interesting and just learning about what you do and yeah, what you do to be honest. And like I just feel like obviously this is just you've just got a little stepping stone and you're heading somewhere where you want to go, and I just hope that your sorry, her football hub is the biggest out there, because it deserves to be, because I think taking that plunge and going up against some of the other companies that you're going up against is it's pretty major, because you know everybody just when places just have a name anyway. So
Yeah,
if you're going up against sort of like Sky Sports or whoever, they've just got the name, so people naturally gravitate to them. But to start from the bottom up and get into where you're getting at the moment, it's just amazing. So keep it up, as I'm sure you will do. So last question:
sure.
where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
I hate this question. I hate it.
It's just a random question, but I just want to just know.
I've always kind of I've wanted to maybe be the leading. So I've always wanted to be in journalism,
Hmm.
written journalism as opposed to broadcast, because I just love writing. So I'd like to stay in writing. If
Hmm.
not, do behind the scenes stuff and do editing. I'd love to personally, if I'm still going to kind of do both, as in her football hub on one side and my career on the other, I'd love to be
Hmm.
maybe an editor at one of the the big names, Sky Sports, somewhere like that. Um, but I would love her football hub to be somewhere that can comfortably cover all areas of the globe. Because yes, we've got England locked down, US we're quite comfortable doing, but nowhere is doing the countries we're trying to push to. I mean, we've got
Hmm.
2 million writers, and when I edit those pieces, I obviously have to factually check everything just to make sure. And I Google the stuff that they're writing about, and there's absolutely no information out there at all.
Yeah.
And it's just, I feel privileged that people like that are wanting to bring their knowledge to our outlet, because all it's doing is
Yeah.
helping us grow. Um, and I just want to shed light on every country possible, because there's more than just the US and France and England. There's so much out there, and I'd just love to have a reporter or a correspondent in every corner of the globe and be able to
Yeah.
send people out to matches and just be one of the most reliable places to go to for your women's football news.
Thank you. And the last question for anyone that is younger than us. So I think I'm actually 10 years older than you. I don't think I am 10 years older than you. So anybody that's younger than us and wants to get into journalism, especially sports journalism, what would your one piece of advice be, or how would you tell them to get involved?
So my own personal experience, it was all about just building your portfolio. If there's
Hmm.
kind of voluntary, unpaid work, just take it. I know it's
Hmm.
not ideal at the time, but like employers prefer a beefy portfolio over a degree. That's
Hmm.
fact. Um, it's just, if you've written for, even if it's unpaid, like I had a short stint at the Manchester Evening News. I only wrote a handful of articles, but I now
Yeah,
have that on my CV, and that's a big name, and that
definitely.
does wonders. And it wasn't paid work,
Hmm.
um, but it's still on there. And this is what I mean. It's it took me a long time. I'll never act like it was an easy road for me, because it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's just, even when it feels hardest, just stick at it, because
Yeah.
it's that image where the guy is kind of digging for diamonds and they're right
Hmm.
there. I mean, if he just goes one more, he could get it.
Yeah.
It just epitomizes what it is. Just keep going, keep believing yourself, and just block out anybody who says that you don't belong in this industry, because if you believe you do, then you do.
Thank you so much, Georgia. And that is great, great advice. And just before the last thing, I just want you to tell us where we could find you if you want to be found.
Of course. So
Social media.
my personal Twitter handle is at GJ Goulding, Goulding on Twitter, and we are at Her Football Hub, with an underscore on Instagram. And Give Me Sport is Give Me Sport W for women.
Hmm.
So you can find myself, the hub, and Give Me Sport on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Thank you so much. And there you have it. That was Georgia. Thank you so much again. That was very, very interesting, that chat we just had there. Please make sure you go follow her and look into all the great things she's doing. And I'm sure if you do have any questions, she'll be very, very, very honored to answer those for you, because that's the type of person she is. I just asked her, she said yes straight away. She's not gonna say yes to everything, but if the proposition is good, she might say yes. So yeah, everybody, thank you for watching, and that was Big Gunner Talks to Georgia, and have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks so much.